Hey, good morning to all my compliance professionals out there. I hope you guys are having a great weekend. I am just doing a little short video. I had done a video on chip walking and kind of explain what chip walking was, and I'm going to tell you how you can find that on the back end. So I don't know what systems your casino uses, so everybody's casino might be a little different in how you find the information or what the systems are called, but it all should basically be the same. So if you're looking for chip walking, which should be something that you're looking for every day in your audit, you're going to want to look in your whatever system your casino uses. Ours uses Bravo Session Expert is what I use to find the chip walking. And there should be somewhere in there that shows you how many chips the person purchased, how much the value of the chips that they purchased for the gaming day. It should also show you how many chips they used when they were playing. It should also show you how long they played for the day. But also there should be, ours is in columns like a spreadsheet. We have a walked with column, which shows the amount of chips that the person from what they bought in for, what they played with, and then it should show what they should have walked away from at the table. So this would be the amount of chips that should have went up to the cage to get cashed out or caged or however you say that, because I've worked in 3 casinos and everybody has their own terminologies. I wish it was all one way, but it's not, and sometimes it's confusing. But that walked with should show you, and it might say something different than walked with, but ours says walked with. They should have walked away from the table with $13,000. But then when you're looking at your MTL, it only shows the cage having logged that they cashed out or caged $4,000 at the cage. Well, there's $9,000 in chips there that did not get logged. You will want to go back into the Bravo Session Expert or whatever system you use. And if you look, you're going to see, it depends on what your dollar limit is on your MTL, but it's possible they played for 6 or 7 hours and maybe they just had small wins during that time. And maybe they went to the cage every time they got ahead and cashed out some chips or caged some chips. So maybe they went up to the cage and they went in increments throughout the day. So it wasn't all one lump sum. But sometimes it'll show you that they should have walked away from that table with all those chips at one time. So if it was like maybe they did 500 here, 1,000 here, or whatever, maybe those didn't get logged at the cage because that's not at your threshold for the MTL, and maybe they went to different cashiers, whatever. If that seems to be a pattern, that's something to look for too. But when you're looking at the chip walking, so like we said in the other video about chip walking, it doesn't matter why they're doing it, even if they're going to come back later, but you will, if something like that happens, maybe go back for the next 3 days and look to see if that person ever came back in and played with chips and not cash, because that might help it not at least seem as suspicious to create a SAR from. But if it looks like they never cashed out those chips, then maybe possibly you might even have them do a surveillance review to see about those smaller amounts to make sure they did go to the cage, so you could track those smaller amounts. But anyway, that's the way I have learned how to track chip walking from the back end. Of course, on the floor, it'd be great if everybody on the floor paid really close attention and saw that they saw somebody put half their chips in their purse and leave. That would be great, but that doesn't happen every day, of course, and that doesn't happen hardly at all. So there's quite a few steps between our pit and table games and our cage, so there's a lot that could happen in between walking away from the table and going to the cage. But it could be that they also, you might want to look for somebody else who may have cashed out that rest of that amount that's left over, and look back and see that they never played at table games. Good possibility that's they handed it off to that person to take and cash out. So that would be another one you'd want to have surveillance look into to see if that's what happened. So hope I didn't make things more confusing, but just kind of explaining how we find chip walking and what I do to find chip walking in our back-end audit. So I hope it makes it a little easier for you if you didn't know how to do it, but that is something that FinCEN looks for when they come in and audit, that we're catching the chip walking. And if you're not going back to some kind of report and figuring out whether this is happening or not, you could get a finding, so you're going to want to do that. So I hope you guys are enjoying these videos. I hope you're getting some information that you need. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to my channel to help build this community up. It really takes all of us, and we really all need help doing compliance, because there's not a whole lot of people if you didn't learn from somebody else, there's not a lot of people in the casino that can help us and to teach us what we need to do, unless you're going to really good conferences. Like there is one coming up in, they're not paying me to say this, but the BSA AML group has a conference in September in Vegas. This is a really good conference to go to. I encourage you to go to it. I have learned so much. I've been going for this will be my 5th year going. I learn something new every day. I don't go to the fundamentals every year. I went the first year, so you can choose whether to add that fundamentals class on there. But if you've never been, even when I went to the fundamentals and I thought that I knew everything about compliance, I was taking notes and writing things down. So you can still learn some things, even if you've been a compliance officer for years. Some of us have been compliance officers and we just haven't been around the training. We weren't in a position or in a casino that supported that. I really encourage you to talk your managers into getting you into some kind of training every year that is in depth. And the one that I'm talking about in September, leaders from FinCEN, the IRS, the DOJ, lots of regulators are there talking to you, tribal and state-ran facilities, gaming boards. I just would encourage you to get into that if you can. So hope you guys have a great day, great weekend, and I'll see you next time.